Hi friends, now let me tell you about our nervous system. Is reflex action the only function of the spinal cord? Obviously not. Since we know that we are thinking beings, spinal cord is made up of nerves which supply information to think about. Thinking involves more complex mechanisms and neural connections. These are concentrated in the brain, which is the main coordinating center of the body. The brain and spinal cord constitute the central nervous system or the CNS. They receive information from all parts of the body and integrate it. We also think about our actions, writing, talking, making, moving a chair, clapping at the end of a program are examples of voluntary actions which are based on deciding what to do next after thinking. So the brain also has to send messages to muscles. This is the second way in which the muscles of the in which the nervous system communicates with the muscles. The communication between the central nervous system and the other parts of the body is facilitated by the peripheral nervous system consisting of central cranial nerves arising from the brain and spinal nerves arising from the spinal cord. The brain thus allows us to think and take actions based on that thinking. As you will expect, this is accomplished through a complex design with different parts of the brain responsible for integrating different inputs and outputs. The brain has three such major parts or regions, namely the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. The forebrain is the main thinking part of the brain. It has regions which receive sensory impulses from various receptors. Separate areas of the forebrain are specialized for hearing, smell, sight, and so on. There are separate areas of association where this sensory information is interpreted by putting it together with information from other receptors as well as with information that is already stored in the brain. Based on all this, a decision is made about how to respond, and the information is passed on to the motor areas which control the movement of voluntary muscles. For example, leg muscles. However, certain sensations are distinct from seeing or hearing. For example, how do we know that we have eaten enough? The sensation of feeling full is because of a certain place or a center associated with hunger in the brain, which is in a separate part of the forebrain. Let us look at the other use of the word reflex. When that we have talked about in the introduction. Our mouth waters when we see food we like without our meaning it, or without we even thinking about it that we'll get saliva in our mouth. It starts watering. Our hearts beat without our thinking about it. In fact, we cannot control these actions easily by thinking about them. Even if we want to, do we have to think about or remember to breathe or digest food? No. In between the simple reflex actions like change in the size of the pupil and the thought out actions such as moving a chair, there is another set of muscle movements over which we do not have any control or thinking control. Many of these involuntary actions are controlled by the midbrain and hindbrain. All these involuntary actions, including blood pressure, salivation, and vomiting, are controlled by the medulla in the hindbrain. Think about activities like walking in a straight line, riding a bicycle, picking up a pencil. These are possible due to a part of the hindbrain called the cerebellum. It is responsible for precision of voluntary actions and maintaining the posture and balance of the body. Imagine what would happen if each of these events failed to take place if we were not thinking about it. Now let's see how these tissues or delicate tissues of the brain are protected. A delicate organ like the brain, which is so important for a variety of activities in our body, needs to be carefully protected. For this, The body is designed so that the brain sits inside a bony box. Inside this box, the brain is contained in a fluid filled balloon which provides further absorption. Shock absorption. And the bony cage is called the skull. If you run your hand down the middle of your back, you will feel a hard, bumpy structure. This is the vertebral column or backbone which protects the spinal cord. So, our nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord together. Now, let's see how does the nervous tissue cause action. So far, we have been talking about nervous tissue and how it collects information, sends it around the body, processes information, makes decisions based on information, and conveys decisions to muscles for action. In other words, when the action or movement is to be performed, muscle tissue will do the final job. The muscle tissue will do the final job. When a nerve impulse reaches the muscle fiber must move. Now, the simplest notion of movement at the cellular level is that the muscle cells will move by changing their shape so that they shorten. Do muscles change their shape on their own? No, muscles cells have special proteins that change both their shape and their arrangement in the cell in response to the nervous electrical impulses sent by the brain. When this happens, new arrangements of these proteins give the muscle cells a shorter form. And sometimes, even involuntarily, we move our muscles. For example, if we just touch a hot object, our brain will not tell our hand to move it. It will take time. Automatically, our hand will move towards ourselves, away from that hot object. This is also a reflex action. So, our muscles of the hand, for example, the movements can be voluntary and involuntary also. But in total, this is the way our nervous system works. And friends, I hope you have understood the basics about how our nervous system or our brain, along with the spinal cord, which is a part of the nervous system, work together to run our body. The brain sends signals to all the body parts or the organs, and accordingly, they work. I hope I was able to make this explanation about the nervous system easy for you. Friends, if you liked my explanation, do like, comment, and tell me what you felt about it. Share and subscribe. Take care and lots of love to you all. Bye.